This conference will now be recorded.
I was with
Are you ready?
People out there, can you hear us?
You got to unmute them.
I can hear you.
Thank you.
Okay. Bill called the order of the legal committee meeting for Thursday, May 25th, 2023, 4 p.m. May I have a roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Chairman Hildebrand,
Here.
Vice Chair Arnold,
Here.
Councilor Opesa. Here. Chairman Chaos.
It's not my committee.
Robert Korn.
Come back next week and I'll answer that. Here.
Mr. Chairman, you have quorum.
Thank you. Next item, can I have an approval of the agenda, please?
Move the agenda for today's meeting, Mr. Chairman.
Have a second.
Second.
Whoa.
Wow, that's good.
Hey.
We got 2 seconds.
Get second or not?
Yeah.
You did, he had,
Yeah.
so he gets it.
So
All right.
we have a motion and a second for the approval of the agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Being none, so moved. Now may I have a motion on the approval of the minutes from the meeting from Thursday, April 27th, 2023.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from the legal committee meeting on Thursday, April 27th, 2023. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Being none, so moved. First item on the agenda is the RAC lease agreements with Badlands Saints. Ms. Lamford.
I'd ask that you consider recommending Badlands Saints to enter into a lease for building 734 located at the Roswell Air Center. Badlands Saints is requesting the lease of 2,484 square feet, more or less, for the purpose of holding club meetings and vehicle events. The lease term is for 1 year, beginning June 1st, 2023, and commencing May 31st, 2024. That means end, it should say ending. Badlands Saints is formerly known as Old Dog Brotherhood. They've had a name change, and so I'm changing the name in their lease to match their articles. And I accepted President Monty Walker accepted the lease agreement via email, has already signed it on April 21st, 2023. And the AAC approved and sent it forward, vote 4-0 at their last regular meeting. The lease renewal is an increase of by CPI of 10.33%, with an annual amount of $3,676.56 that will be paid in monthly installments of $306.38, bringing that to $1.48 a square foot. It is a lower square footage price than most of our buildings, but there is
I understand that, but
I don't know what
what is their entity, legal entity?
I do not know, sir.
Do they have insurance?
Yes,
They do have insurance.
they are required to give us a proof of insurance.
You could find out there
I sure can.
on the, would be the certificate of insurance they had to give you, to tell us what we're dealing with here.
That's true, yes.
Sounds to me like they're just a car club.
Mr. Audio on the other.
Right.
Car
I'm not
club.
picking on them. I'm just like, what is their legal entity? And if they default on the rent, who's gonna pay the rent?
Monty Walker, the president.
He's signing for it personally?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Answers my question.
They've been a tenant out there since 2011, so,
Make sure we're doing them all the same.
yes.
Any further questions? Being none, do I get a motion?
Mr. Chair,
Oh, I'm gonna pass it off.
he likes the ones where all he has to do is say so moved. So I'm going to say, I'd like to make a motion for approval for Badland Saints to enter into a lease agreement for Building 734 located at the Roswell Air Center to go on the consent agenda.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the Badlands Saints lease agreement for Building 734 to be put on the consent agenda at the next city council meeting. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same. Being none, so moved.
Okay.
Next item on the agenda.
You're doing good
People out in the internet world.
Well, there, the internet is not,
The sound has been trying to get it out.
that will take a little IT break.
Sanitation break.
Could I request that they play some Eagles next time?
Give me Buffett.
Yeah. Really, two of my favorite songs are Take It Easy. We can play that because we need to take it easy.
Can we take that note down?
Uh-oh.
Thank you, Madam. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
You just turned our paycheck for today.
That wasn't me.
Do it again.
I went and changed it.
He turned it up from the other side.
Might have got his salary level hot just right.
Counselor Howelson says she can hear.
Okay.
Where is she?
Mr. Chair, I think the audio is a formality, so if you
There
want
it
to.
is, I can hear.
I don't know.
Hello there.
Violation.
Afternoon. How's it going, everybody?
Good.
Okay, can you guys hear just fine on the audio there?
Yeah.
Yes.
On the meeting itself, I can't hear at all. I've joined in as GTM4 there at the very bottom. Juliana says she can hear just fine. I want to make sure about something. Is like control on the table there for the camera.
Yep.
Okay, now is there a red button on that mic? Or is it?
Yes. You want me to hit it?
Yeah, please.
Time. Now, does that do anything for you? Because now our speakers are on, or our microphone is on. Yep.
Yeah, we have a little white ring on the microphone that's on the table.
Okay, that's what we need to have in
Okay.
order for the audio to be going through, but I mean, there's no audio coming in on my computer. And the only thing I'm hearing is from you guys over the phone. I don't know that Juliana Halverson is saying that she's able to hear.
Yep.
Is everybody else able to hear?
That's what
She
she said.
said,
Yeah, other people can't hear though.
Ask Ms. Jennings, can she hear?
Juanita, are you able to hear? Yeah.
now it's back. I can hear, some of them are saying they can.
Okay.
I have some.
Della's here, we can sing happy birthday to Della again. Where'd she go?
She figured you were up to no good and left.
And Vicky can hear, and I haven't heard from Judy yet.
I don't like it when you ask if you have an opinion.
As good as she can hear.
I'm already cooking tonight, it's okay.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
Probably doesn't help that we're all being quiet. Like we don't hear anything. Because nobody's talking.
Music?
The mics are picking up stuff, so
I know.
I'd like to try something. Is it okay if I, well, no, the meeting's already
Don't leave me
started.
hanging.
Can't really do it. It looks like most of the crowd can hear.
You like,
It's safe to say that the settings have been configured appropriately. I would say just continue from here on out. It is recording right now, yeah? Yeah. So I'll jump off now, and stay connected to the meeting. And if the audio goes back out, I'll go ahead and contact you guys back, okay?
Okay, thank you.
You got it. Take care.
Sorry about that, Mr. Chair.
What are we gonna do?
Well, okay.
IT always just tell me, reboot.
That's exactly
hard
what it is.
reset.
Yeah, just reboot and you'll be fine.
Tell me leave stuff. And,
Don't touch anything.
I don't blame them. How hard is it? In what formula is it? In there?
Are we okay to proceed?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Next item on the agenda, the Pecos Valley Amateur Radio Club. Rule of their release. Todd, it's your show.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair, councilors. So what we're looking for is to consider recommending approval of a lease for Pecos Valley Amateur Radio Club, PVAR. A little bit of background, PVARC is one of the oldest operational radio clubs here in New Mexico since the 1950s and has been a valued partner with the cities with Roswell since 1976. They were first housed at the Roswell Adult Center, then the Little Rock House out at Calhoun Park, then at 403 North Richardson at the old Muni Court building. Now we've got them back at the Center at 807 North Missouri in room 28. They are next slide, please. They're a domestic nonprofit corporation with 25 to 30 active members that has been instrumental in assisting the city with Skywarn, emergency communication sites, tactical call signs, net control, and they are skilled with narrowband emergency message services and digital messaging that are critical to community emergencies. PVARC also helps with coordinating emergency communications for up to 5 of the city's fundraising runs here in Roswell. So for this lease, the financial consideration pursuant to the contract, in exchange for the community service that they provide, we will receive a $1 a year in rent from these folks. We do have Gary Blosser and Dan Musgrave from PVARC here as well, if you have any questions for them directly, but otherwise I stand for any questions or sitting for any questions.
Anyone have any questions? I just want to thank you, gentlemen, for providing these services to this community. It's a very valuable service, especially when in need, that you all stand by and provide that emergency service to the welfare of the individuals in this community. So again, you do it for no cost and you're out of your pocket. It's a great thing that you all take this on and do this for the city. So thank you for that. So do I have no further?
Mr. Chair, I would like to recommend approval of Pecos Valley Amateur Radio Club lease for the consent agenda.
Motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. So I have a motion and a second to put on the consent agenda for the next city council meeting, the lease with the Pecos Valley Amateur Radio Club. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same. Being none, so moved. Next item on the agenda is resolution 23-22, which is the Nancy Lopez golf course fees, which were sent back from council back to this committee
Us.
for consideration.
How else you liked it, Chairman?
Oh, that was just wonderful. Sending things back to the legal committee. So I don't know, one of these I voted no against, so but it came back anyway. So Eric, you're on, please.
Thank you, Chair, councilors. I'm here to present resolution 23-22, Nancy Lopez Golf Course fees. Here to consider recommendation, adoption, and approval of restructure and increase of all rates fees at Nancy Lopez Golf Course Spring River. All right, so the daily rates and membership fees have not changed since 14 and 15, sorry. There's too many different types of memberships which don't work with our current system. No rates are in place for tournaments, high schools, leagues, twilights, etc. And also we'll be getting a Yamaha Track GPS screens on the new golf carts. So that's why we're looking to increase those as well. Next screen. All right, so all proposed annual fees, we're looking at 5% increase. The new memberships we're looking to add is a senior single anytime for $477, senior couple anytime, $595, and a junior membership at $150. Proposed monthly fees, price increase 5% as well. And we're looking to add a senior single membership for $75 and a senior couple membership for $105. We want to change memberships to calendar year instead of being 1 year from the purchase date. This is so that we can control if we decide to go up in prices or go down in prices, whatever it is that we choose to do, we're able to do it to everybody on the first of every year. Like I said, every membership will expire at the same time. We shouldn't have any problems with when does my membership expire. With this thing, we're going to do no prorating. But we do, if this is approved, we will prorate everybody for 1 year. So that way everybody's expires on December 31st and we can start everybody on a January 1st calendar. Next. Proposed daily fees. We're looking to increase them all $1. We're looking to add a junior green fee. Right now, junior green fees, there's a weekend one and a weekday one, which I don't know why there's not any different rates for anybody else. So we're looking just to do $850 across the board, weekday or weekend. Looking to add twilight green fees, which this would be 3 hours before sunset. Once twilight starts, there will be no 9-hole rate. So they come out and they can play as many holes as they can within those 3 hours. And that rate would be $15. The proposed special green fees, these are senior day, which is Wednesday, and ladies day on Thursday, and then the city championship. The current price is 12. We're looking to increase it to 13 as well. We're looking to add the new fees, which is going to be tournament fees, league green fees in high school, which I'll present in the next slides. Proposed tournament green fees. We want to offer a package deal, $25 per golfer, which is going to include green fee, cart fee, and range balls. And then the event setup, whatever we do for scoring and all that stuff. The the fee breakdown would be $12 for green fee, $11 for cart fee, and $2 for range balls. And what this does is it just brings more people in. We're able to go out and get more tournaments. NIMI has all of our tournaments right now. And we want to bring a lot of those fundraisers back to our facility, and with $25 per golf, we're giving a little bit of a rate, but at the same time, we probably will make more money with our beverages and them coming in and buying golf balls and everything else from the pro shop. So it's a pretty good deal if we can get that passed. Proposed league rates. So leagues are on weekdays, 5 p.m. or later. It's 9 holes. We'll shut down 9 holes for them. And we're looking to have a $5 green fee and a $7 cart fee. So again, that brings in money with food and beverage, them buying balls. It's just getting people here to see the facility and obviously spend some money. Next. Proposed high school fees. So there is no record of high school fees as of right now. I spoke with the coaches and they said they paid $1,500 per team per year. I'd like to keep that the same for now. $750 towards the membership, which is golf course usage, and $750 for the range balls. I would like to limit it to 15 players per team. That's 15 for the boys and 15 for the girls at each school. The one thing I would like to change is allow the high school teams to play year round and hit balls year round. Just those ones who are serious about the game. And I would limit that to 5 people. We'll give them a card and they're good to come out all year round, play golf, practice, but they're also going to help us with junior camps and clean pick days. If we need something to have a big tournament, we need to clean pick the range for some reason, they'll come in and help us. So that's a good thing for the high school. Proposed cart fees would increase. We're getting new golf carts. Supposed to be here in June. We're looking at that date. But the new carts will have Yamatrack GPS screens installed. So it'll be a big screen there on the golf cart where it'll give you the yardage to the front, middle, back of the green. They'll keep score on the screen. We can also type any message that we want. If somebody's slow, we can say, hey, you guys are a little bit slow, speed up. We can run advertisement on this screen. And also the big thing is the carts will shut off. We're going to put geo fences up around the greens and tees. And if they get too close, it'll shut off and let them know that they're in a restricted area. And then it'll turn back on and let them get out of that area. So with this, there is a monthly fee on it. So we're looking to increase the fee to $150 so we can cover the yearly cost for it. The bag storage room. So right now we don't have any price at all for the bag storage room. This is where some of our customers store their bag. They come in and just get their golf bag, go play, and then they leave it in there for the rest of the night. But there is no fees. We did go in there and clean it up. It's very nice in there now. So we're looking to charge $120 for the year. Disclaimer, golf course discretion, golf course manager along with the director have the ability to change merchandise pricing at any time up to but not exceed 20%. So thank you, and I stand for any questions or sit like he said.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilor Quan.
Counselor, one of the counselors posed this at the city council meeting and asked me to bring it up. He suggested that we look at the 18-hole fee, $25 and a quarter for county residents, $30.25 for the state, and $35.25 for out of state. He did not do anything on the 9-hole or the twilight race. So this is Councilor Foster's idea. Mr. Chairman, I told him I'd bring it up, and so I've done my duty.
Okay, and with our current POS system, I mean, it doesn't really do that. We may be able to get it to do it somehow. But I did call around other facilities, and around here, there's only 2 facilities that do it. And they do struggle with it. They said a lot of times we just charge people the regular rate, the resident rate, because a lot of people here for work, but their driver's license, which is the only way that we know if they're resident, shows in Nebraska or something, but they're here for work. They work here, 3 weeks and they're gone 1 week or whatever it is. So they ran into a lot of problems with it at the 2 facilities that I've talked to. One in Ruidoso at I'm not gonna say what course, but they have a lot of the Texas people who are over there. And at that time, they were taking over the whole golf course. So they ended up starting to charge them Texas people more. So that way their residents could go in there and play. And that was the only way that they could do that. But everybody struggles with it. The 2 courses I talked to that are from around here.
Question.
Mhm.
Well, actually,
Counselor.
it's probably more, can anyone tell me why it was brought back to legal? I looked through my notes. Why was this actually brought back to legal?
There was a motion and a second, and the majority dictates what I have to do.
There was one item on there that we could have fixed at council meeting,
What was that?
and this is the disclaimer. And the disclaimer, when it had previously,
They had
it
rates on
did not, it had rates on there. It didn't have just merchandise. We could have fixed that at council, but it was elected not to be
Okay.
fixed.
Not agricultural.
So
Yeah, because, it's a lot of information overload and I'm kind of like, I can't remember. Okay.
Yeah.
So we just want to make government work really slow, or that it
Yeah.
should. It's moved slow now. Let's slow it down some more.
That's because you're talking about fees.
Right. Let's just back it down and not be a,
I've been presenting this so much that when I go to sleep, I think I'm singing in my sleep.
yeah. I apologize. I did have a question for you concerning these rates and how do they, we have 2 other golf courses in the community. How do these rates look against their rates?
So they're pretty much, I have their thing here, but they're pretty much right there with them. In fact, some of our memberships are actually cheaper than theirs. For instance, their junior alone yearly is $275.
Yeah.
Country Club is a membership thing, so you can't even go play with them unless you have.
Well, you can go, I think there's a couple days a week.
Is there?
They allow
Okay,
people
I
to,
haven't
you know,
known
pay
about
their
that.
green fee, but I don't know what their green fee is.
Okay, I didn't even ask that one because it was.
And it's a 9-hole course, but
Yeah.
I don't remember what their green fee is out there, but, and their card fee. They charge you a card fee and a green fee. I don't know
Okay.
what that, as long as we're comparable.
Oh, yeah.
Because I drove by last night at the Institute Golf Course.
Mhm.
I don't know what they had going on, whether they got that Wednesday night thing.
Yeah, it was a Wednesday night.
That used to happen at the Nancy Lopez Court.
Mhm.
And their parking lot and the overflow parking lot were packed.
Mhm.
So they're getting all that now.
So
There
we
used to be
started Taco
a
Tuesday.
Wednesday burger fry or whatever they call it.
Mhm, exactly.
And I don't know whether the city was putting on or whether the pro was putting that on, who was paying for all that. But it sure attracts a lot of golfers.
Yes. So because they did theirs on Wednesday, just like Carlton used to do his on Wednesday,
Yeah.
we started a Taco Tuesday, which is the same kind of league. And we had 60 players out there on 9 holes just this last Tuesday. So
Right.
we usually get 25 to 30 teams every Tuesday. And that's kind of what we took over instead of doing the Burger Wednesday because they have their big thing.
Yeah.
We did Taco Tuesday. So we
Yeah.
do it on Tuesday.
So you got something going to.
Yes, we have that.
Drive
going. Yeah, and that league would actually help, like I say, getting the $5 and $7. A couple of people have said it's too expensive because they got to pay a normal 9-hole rate.
Yeah, and then you're furnishing the tacos for him, are you not?
They pay the $15 and $5 of that goes to the tacos, which Los Cerritos works with us.
Yeah.
So they charge us $5 per person and they bring the taco. Well, we go pick up the tacos, but they're out there when we have a taco bar for them.
That's fine. So I mean, as long as you're trying to drive traffic through there, and what they used to give was a small, I don't know what, first place got $10 pro shop. This is years ago. I don't know what you're doing. Are you doing the same thing?
Same thing, yeah, just
Yeah,
depending how many we have, and we have different flights, and then we pay just depending on your handicap, what flight you're in, and then we pay first, second, or first, second, third in each flight, so.
Yeah, and you take the handicap on the honor system.
Yes, a lot of the times when you're in the fourth flight, you shoot 33,
Full
then
of sand though, are they not?
but the next week we catch them and we move them into the
Move 'em
first
up.
flight. It's a fun time with those guys, I tell you.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor.
I sit here and look about the whole thing about our community. most all the shopping is done in town by the people in Dexter, Hagerman, Midway, all around the whole county. It's all, most all the shopping is done in town. Yet, when we started looking at this, getting into a fight about stuff like this, what happens if the people in the city of Roswell, and the people in the county start suing and going after the city of Roswell because of that plume that goes from Lemac all the way down everywhere outside of the city limits, it just keeps going. That's all pollution that comes strictly out of the city. We could get into kind of a fight, over some of this stuff if we're not careful. And I mean, there's an awful lot of water that comes from outside the city limits into the city. And just like those water tanks and everything that are out there on those hills, those are out in the county. Are we gonna pay the county residents a fee for, letting, using their hills to get water pressure into Roswell? I'm just saying, I think that our community is based countywide. And I think that we ought to have the fees and stuff, should be based on people in the whole county. I don't think we should segregate out where they come from. If they come buy a car, they don't buy, we buy most people buy all their cars in Roswell. And if they're from Dexter, Hagerman, whatever, well, most of our government buys their cars from Albuquerque, so I guess maybe that shouldn't happen. I'm just saying, I think we're all in this thing together. And I think we should have all the people come and shop in our facilities. I think is great. And I think that's the way it should be. There's, when you look at the whole thing, it's better, I think, rather than splitting hairs about where somebody lives. It's a lot easier for everybody if we just set a decent fee and get as many people to use our facilities as we can. I don't think it goes anywhere I don't think it helps us. I got a neighbor that used to live by me out there that's had a number of animals that come out from the city and they, $10,000 or $12,000 worth of show calves. And so, and that they were city dogs. Now, who's going to pay that? I mean, it's just a thing. I think we're all in this thing together. And I think we ought to encourage everybody to go use our facilities every time they can.
Mm-hmm. To add on to that, like we said, is if we were to go with this $35 and we increase for out of towners, we get a lot of out of towners. They come and play our course probably over NIMI. But if we increase that, we're going to lose a lot of business to NIMI, and they love our facilities. I mean, they come in and they love it. We start charging out of towners, they're going to look at us like, oh, well, why do we got to pay more? Okay, they don't want our money. Well, we'll come over here then. You know what I mean? It's happened to me at other facilities, so I'm just throwing that in.
Yeah, you can't compete with them because they're getting their money from the state.
Mm-hmm.
And you cannot compete with that. So, Mr. Burris.
And Mr. Chair, councilors, something I need to add that probably no one knows about yet, but I'll throw it out there. To your point, we started working with the Motel Association, and there's one of the motels we'll be going to here soon. As soon as they made a URL, we're having some cards made. As soon as they give me some prices for the rental clubs and balls, that's going to be in the backs of those cars. I'll print. We're going to start putting them at motels, and a lot of those people are from out of town. We're, going to be here extended stay. We want to get you out there and have some fun. And so if we do this, it kind of negates that. So I do not disagree with you at this time.
Yeah, we're getting my.
I didn't make a motion.
The thing is, 5%, 5%
Kind of
price.
wondering, I don't know that we were actually even, I was going with what you said. That was a suggestion. I don't.
Hey, not my suggestion, but I'd bring it up.
Well, we can, yeah,
And I did.
I'm not hearing a motion for that.
No,
You brought it to the table.
no.
I'm not hearing a motion.
No
All
power.
I agreed to do.
Okay, and I'm not hearing a motion to entertain that rate. If the rate wants to be changed, they can do it at council.
In my opinion, it's pointless because it becomes too confusing. And for me, it's simple if you do one block, you know, and that's what I was kind of saying about all of our city places, you know, everything should be a $5, not the golf course, of course, but I'm just saying it's simpler. I think more people come, it's consistent, they don't go, how much money do I need? So if it's consistent, clean, smooth, things run better.
And I'm fine with that. You know, a 5% increase, we haven't raised rates for 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, whatever it is. You know, this rate is probably too low, but you can't compete with them because again, that's state funded over there and they don't have to make any money to cover their expenses. They're getting their expenses covered. So, Councilor Orpeza.
Yeah, and I disagree with the recommendation or the suggestion as well. And mainly because, you know, right now, there seems to be like a rift between the county and the city. And if you, you know, try and say, well, we're gonna charge the county a little bit more, it's just like the mayor said. The majority of them come down here and purchase. They, you know, we get their gross receipts tax and what have you.
Right.
And so, you know, I think my goal would be to try and unite the county and the city.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't support that. Mr. Chairman, I think we discussed this enough.
Well, I got one couple other things. I want to know about the Yamatrack.
Okay.
Tell me what that cost is.
Oh, I have it in here. It's like 30,000 a year. It's
30,000 a year.
It's $46 a month per cart.
46, so you got to have those carts out. I'm just trying to figure what it takes you to break even. Yeah,
30 times.
3 times a week.
No, 30 a month. So once a day.
I mean,
Once a day.
they got to be out once a day, every day.
Yeah.
To get your money just
To break even. Yeah.
Break even.
$1.50 to get.
But some of those carts can go out, they do go out twice, do they not? Especially on the weekends.
In fact, we've been running out on weekdays of golf carts, which is something we haven't been doing. It's always on the weekends we'll run out of carts, but the last couple of weekdays we've ran out of carts.
Okay, slowly we're getting covered.
Mhm.
The other thing I'd like to talk about is credit cards.
Mhm.
Maybe you need to ask somebody, what is it costing the city to accept credit cards? And a lot of businesses now are charging, you pay for credit card, it's 3% more. And it's becoming a common practice everywhere.
It pisses me off.
And so, right, if you want to feel like you're subsidizing something, that's what you're subsidizing, people paying with credit cards.
That's true.
You're not getting your full 2025. You're getting 97% of that. So I would like to look into, and you can do this at your finance, or I don't care where you do it there, counselor, but somebody needs to look into when we accept credit cards, there should be an up fee. I mean, people don't like it. I don't like it. So I just dig in my pocket and pay with cash. You know, a lot of people use their credit cards to get their points or whatever they get with those things. Well, guess somebody's paying for it.
Yeah.
So, counselor. Yeah.
Just one last question. Remind me, is the golf course under the 70-30?
It was supposed to have been. It was supposed to have been.
It's gonna do what it does.
If it was under the 70-30, what was the gross revenue off the golf course last year?
We were the closest.
We were the closest is what we heard of.
Close to 50, but if we got 70, he wouldn't have a job. There'd be a lot of people over there. There'd just be nothing taken. That 70-30 thing, just like at the zoo, which we're going to get into next.
My point, maybe we should consider doing away with the 70-30 recovery.
Yeah, did that get put through by, or is that just a policy?
That was.
No, it's an ordinance.
It's an ordinance or a resolution?
It's a resolution, it's not an ordinance.
Resolution.
It's a resolution.
I don't know.
I haven't found a resolution that explicitly.
It's coming up.
He's got it coming up on the next item.
Yeah, so,
The zoo, sorry, Mr. Chair, the zoo had a cost scheme. The 70-30 was more of a
Funding provision to beef up our numbers last year.
But there's not at least I went through every resolution of the past 3 years and not one of them explicitly said 70/30 cost recovery. It was
And what's, excuse me, Keller, but if you didn't make the 70/30, what's the penalty?
Written in it.
a raise.
What's the penalty if you don't get the 70%?
Well, a good COLA and a step increase.
I mean, so that whole concept,
But it's on the, I'm going to say it's on the books because I think it is.
well, then we will direct you,
I'll find it if it's there.
find it, and come up with a resolution to repeal.
If there is anything to. If there's
If
anything,
there's anything to repeal,
any department.
yeah. And this whole this cost recovery.
Yeah, there are different ones.
Yeah, there's 50/50 for the part.
I'll tell you what the cost recovery, all it did was put fictitious expectations of income in the city budget. That's all it did. Because last year we had, what, $3 million of anticipated cost recovery income? Never materialized,
It never will.
and it never will.
Oh, sorry I brought it up, but.
I mean, Danny, maybe it's a good thing they sent this back to this committee.
So.
Yeah, so I don't think we're all, there's no disagreement here, so you got a motion and a second, do we not?
I haven't heard the second.
I didn't know we had a motion.
I don't know, we had a motion.
Let's have a motion here. I'll call for,
Question.
it's your turn for the motion.
Okay, I'll motion. Mr. Chair, I motion that we send to full council on consent agenda a recommendation to adopt and approve the restructure and increase of all rates and fees at Nancy Lopez Golf Course at Spring River.
Second.
So I have a motion and a second to adopt a new fee structure on the consent agenda for the next council meeting.
Yes, sir.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same, being none, so moved.
I think we need to look at it again next month.
Oh, my gosh. Let's really slow the process down.
We like rolling those guys out there at the golf course, man.
Okay, next item on the agenda is Resolution 2321, Spring River Zoo fee repeal. Mr. Matthews, please.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, first of all, I apologize. I had to step out at the last council meeting and throw Mr. Coleman was about to present my item. Sorry, I had to come back to this committee.
No problem. Thank you.
Action requested today. I'm asking to consider a resolution 2321, which would repeal Resolution 1983 and 2072 and convert back to the Spring River Zoo to a free zoo and park. Resolution 1983 passed in September 13th of 2019, setting the cost recovery for the Roswell Zoo at the following levels. First year, 2020, 5%, 21 was 5%, 22 was 25%, and 23 was 45%. Currently, according to our finance department, 70/30, we're projecting a 7.3% collection. Resolution 2072 passed in December 10th of 2020, becoming effective in January the 1st, 21, establishing the fees for the zoo. Resolution 2072 Exhibit A, which is in your packet, also set the charges identified for in the free days identified for that. Council's asked to consider the resolution to repeal these two resolutions and make the zoo and park free once again. If you go to the next slide, please. So in the last 4 years, 2021, we had expenses of $436,940, increasing up to 2024 of $1.4 million. We had a revenue of $13,000. And 2024, we're projecting 103 in revenue. So you can see there that we are not nowhere near coming to what we perceive would happen. Next slide, please.
Next year.
Also visitation, I was able to do some research the last week. I went back in our annual reports. In 2018, there was, according to the annual report from that department, there was 51,000 people visited the zoo that year. 2019, 65,000 people visited the zoo. In 2020, of course, in March, COVID hit. The zoo was closed the rest of the year. They were still able to do 2,500 people for private tours and things like that. 2021, January, we started charging. 16,000 people took advantage of that. 2022, 18,000 people visited the zoo over the charging. So as you can see, we have now decreased the amount of people that visit our zoo. Next slide, please. These are the staffing levels that I was able to pull with help from HR and the finance department. 2018, we had 7.5 employees. 1910, 2010, 21, 8, 22, at 23, 2023 had 19, and 2024 it's 10. I cut many of those positions as we were starting the budget process. They were unfilled positions, temporary, part-time positions. I cut most of those out as we were going through the budget process. One of the other things, and we have reduced also, is the amount of hours at the facilities even available to the public. Current operation hours are 10 to 4, with the last ticket being sold at 3 p.m. I provided here, I just Googled the Spring River Park and Zoo. I found 2 signs, and I did not print the first one. Back when I was a kid, that zoo was open until sunset. At sunset, the guard came around and told you it's time to start, or a little before sunset, he would start clearing the park and the zoo out. This here, and I don't know what year this was, as you can see, the zoo was open to 6 p.m. Now the last ticket sold at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Kids were getting out of school at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So in my opinion, Mr. Chair, members of the committee, I personally would like to see our zoo return to a free zoo and park and make it available to our children in our community to utilize. I would love to see those numbers get back up to 65,000 people utilizing our park and zoo. We're going to work very hard. I know city manager's committed. I'm committed. Mr. Burris is committed. We're going to get that train running. The carousel's operating. There is still some things I think we need to do on that to slow it down a little bit, but we're going to get that zoo back open and utilized by our citizens and visitors that come to our city. So I stand for any questions that you have.
Councilor Otabesa.
I just want to say kudos to Mr. Jim, because if you pass by the zoo, the pond, it's clean. Looks nice.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, and absolutely. So I believe it was Tuesday we went for another tour. We took Jim and Rudy out to the zoo. Me and Mr. Cola, we walked the entire train track. We walked that entire zoo again. Councilor Halverson joined us. We spent about 3 hours again at the zoo. We gave some orders, marching orders for Mr. Burris, Mr. Rudy, and to our surprise, about 10 o'clock this morning, I received some photographs, and me and Chad headed to the zoo, and that is a different world over there, what they did in one morning over there. And kudos to them. They did a phenomenal job of cleaning it up. And I think you're going to see a big turnaround in that park and zoo.
Councilor.
Question, why was it sitting here?
Pardon?
Why was this sitting here? What was that?
Slow government down again.
Well, I know how I was ready just because I've been on board the whole time, but I didn't know if there was a legal technicality that we needed to fix or any verbiage or, okay, so.
This is one of the few things that I drafted that is pretty errata free.
The things, again, could have been fixed at council. And one of the things that I wanted to make sure was the new resolution says, whereas the implemented fees led to decreased attendance. I wanted to verify that that was factual.
That was what it was about.
Mr. Matthews has shown that is a fact. So again, not just pulling numbers out of the air. He spent great time figuring these out and the cost to implement such fees. He's also demonstrated the cost that was associated with that.
Yep.
And, you know, the cost recovery, I'll go back to that. Numbers of that one right. So in 2020, they're saying the current year was 5%. So they had 13,562 divided by 436,940. Is that correct? Yeah. Well, that resolution wasn't even correct. That said 5%, this is 3%. So I don't know where they got those numbers.
Out of thin air.
That's what I'm guessing. So, and then for 21, no, I'm sorry, that was for 21.
Yeah.
21, they had a 5%, they only ran 3%. And then for 22, they're saying, yeah, 20 may have been 5%. 21 was not 5%. And then 22 is 105 divided by 774. That's 13%. Not even close. And then again, we know for this year, which is 7%, and it's supposed to be 45. So, anyway.
I have a question. I'm still struggling with the, if you can go back. There you go. I'm seriously struggling with that. That increase, 2021 to 2024 of $1 million, pretty close to $1 million in expenses. How? I mean, I recognize inflation has occurred. I wish my house could actually increase in expenses by $1 million.
Right there. You increase.
See what your staff was?
Yeah.
Staffing increases.
Less was getting done.
Was all of that lodger's tax? Is that coming from the general fund? Where is that being paid out of?
Mr. Chair, Madam Vice Chair, there we go. This is the first year that lodger's tax is being used for the zoo. Every year before that was general fund money. The preliminary budget is using lodger's tax based on the fact that more than half the zoo attendance is out of towners. So we can now shift that over comfortably without getting any heartburn. But yeah, all of this other stuff, that was general fund except for 24.
General fund expenditure.
Except for 24.
Yeah.
And Mr. Chair, I'll point out, all these numbers were provided to me by our finance director, so I didn't.
You make them up?
I didn't make them up.
Okay.
Well, I just have a comment. I feel that, we talk about the hours here, that I feel confident that city management, city staff will come up with something that will take care of the needs of the citizens of this community. It's not a council. They're in charge. Let them do their job. They know the needs. They see where we're coming from. They're very, very competent in their skills to handle this situation. Mr. Burris has already demonstrated in a short period of time, as you say. So I think the thing for us, get out of their way, let them run the zoo, pass this on and move on.
Chairman Hildebrand, can I make a comment real quick?
Yes, Mr.
So
Kevin.
we're going to go back to the golf course building that Councilor Corn brought up on charging county and out-of-state people more money.
Wait a minute, it's not my idea. Don't get me under the bus again.
We're going to go back to what was done back when they put this stuff together, because my wife loved taking the kids to the zoo. And started charging, it was make that much more difficult. Not that we couldn't afford to do it, but you have to take them to the railroad. But when she told me that to go to the zoo, it cost people who lived in the county more to go to the zoo than the citizens of Roswell, I was dumbfounded. I could not believe that they put that in place. Absolutely ridiculous. And why we had that rift, as Councilor Pesta has said, between the county and city was absolutely ridiculous at that stage, especially since I was a county commissioner at that point in time. Mr. Corn was a county commissioner. We did everything we could to work together with the city, but yet we had people that were in that realm that wanted to constantly poke at the county because for whatever reason, and to put these fees up, golf course, zoo, museum, whatever it is, that you're going to charge people that don't live in the city more to use those facilities is absolutely ridiculous. So I'm so happy to hear you guys are going to take away these fees for the zoo because you're not getting the use out of it now. People like, look, they can't afford it. So Jim Burris, thank you for all the hard work you've been doing. I'm glad you're back. Thank you. Taking care of business over there.
One thing to add, there are donation tubes within the zoo, so if you feel the need, throw some folded money in that little slot.
Okay.
If I throw it out there.
I think that's good. And also Friends of the Zoo has, if you want to give something, give money to Friends of the Zoo, because hopefully the county's going to buy us a giraffe. That's what I want a giraffe.
I think that's a good idea.
Councilor
Okay, I'm gonna make this statement and please don't hold it against me, but this is how I really feel. I am actually very happy that Mr. Burris is out there because as I've worked with him, with constituents, he always actually tries to look at situations and what, tries to determine if there is a low cost solution before going. And so I'd love that he actually does have the ability to kind of do as you say. And I'm more comfortable letting it go of it, knowing that he's actually going to be out there effectively looking for good ways to spend our money. Second thing is, for me, it is actually kind of, all of you probably have heard me say this over the last 4 months. The zoo is important to our community, but I believe in the role of government. And right now, I'm okay because it's lodger's tax, but we have blue collar workers who can't afford to go to the zoo right now. And so it's very frustrating because, if you talk to me about quality of life, and I'm sitting here talking about how our blue collar actually needs to, we need to really take mind and take heed on that. And they can't even afford to go to our zoo. Or they don't even have the time for quality of life because they got a second job. And I bring that in because I'm saying that at least when it's free, everyone can enjoy it.
Yep.
So otherwise, I would kind of just be it's not my priority, but.
Thank you, Councilor. I do have one statement that was made by one of the employees during the last council meeting about the concern of the safety of the employees out there.
Yes.
And that I would ask you, Mr. Cole, and you, Mr. Matthews, to work with our police department, make sure that they have included them in part of their routine, however they feel necessary, to ensure that we have the safety for the citizens that are there and safety for the employees that are there. Because she seemed to be very, very concerned and cited homeless people being in there and those kind of things, that we are looking after those individuals, whether they be employees or citizens, so that that's not what we're talking about here, but that was brought up at the council meeting, and I think it's very important that we take heed to somebody who's out there all the time. So I appreciate that.
Chairperson and councilors, I don't want to burst your bubble, but I just talked to one of the county commissioners, and the giraffe is not in the budget.
Oh, shut you down.
Really? Well, I'll ask them next year before they prepare their budget for next year if they can put a giraffe in there and gift it to us. Because it'll make it easier if this is a help Mr. Burris out, because those giraffes eat the leaves from trees at the top. There'll be less leaves that he'll have to rake up, or his employees. So it's really to help Mr. Burris out for the giraffe.
So just real quick, Jim being back over there, that's brought that years ago, started with the pond project.
Yeah.
Jim didn't hesitate to call and talk with me to try and get our flood department, which our flood commissioner is sitting over there. And we got got the stuff over there
Yes.
for Jim to do the work. That's the county and city working together if you ask and you work together. So that's something that's extremely important for us to be working together as a county and a city.
Well, I agree with you, Mr. Cannon, because last I knew, I am a member of Chaves County, where I live in the city.
Amen.
So we're all in it together. As the mayor said, as you say, we're all together. So that's why I requested a giraffe, because I'm a member of the Chaves County.
You probably paid enough in taxes to pay.
I'd rather go with an elephant than grass.
Yeah,
Mr. Chairman,
can I have a motion?
Um,
I'm going to make a motion to put,
On fertilizer.
You sell some of it.
to move resolution 2321 Spring River Zoo fee repeal to the consent calendar.
Unfortunately, the residents have to have a roll call vote.
Oh, okay. So,
Oh,
well, then we can't do the other one either.
Hold on here. Let's see what Councilor Ward Pacey had to say here.
Is for the tear downs and the weeds and the consent agenda.
Those are on there. Those are resolutions.
True, and I would not put them on there if it were up to me. So that is a legal opinion. You guys don't have to go with it if you don't.
You're overruled. Be quiet. See if I get a second. Let's see if I get a second. Art,
I'll second.
thank you. Yeah, that's one of the favorite jobs I had when I used to wear the black robe. Counselor, you're overruled. I've made a ruling. Let's move on. But Judge, sit down.
So I have a motion and a second for resolution 23-21, which the repeal resolution 19-83 and resolution 20-72 on the consent agenda, converting back to the Spring River Zoo to a free zoo and park. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Being none, so moved.
I hope your committee resists any attempt to put it anywhere else next time, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, next item on the agenda.
Mr.
Yes.
Chairman. Hello. This is a request of mine, and I'll give you a 30-second disclaimer. We were paying $165,000 a year for ambulance service in the city of Roswell. Mr. Matthews got a letter from the contractor saying next year it's going to be 2.6, correct? And we think we've got them negotiated back to $1.4 million, $1.5 million. We don't know because we don't have a signed contract yet. Mr. Chairman, our general fund stream is under deep stress. And so this is a proposal that I worked with legal counsel on. And you can see on your consideration line there that we're going to absorb the first year in this budget. Okay, everybody's wanting colas, everybody's wanting to do this, everybody's wanting to do that. How far can I go if I had an extra $1.5 million to meet those requests? But if this is enacted this fiscal year, we're not going to cover the bet. And there's also been lots of discussion. We have some people here that I think they're going to tell us what it's going to really cost to bring a service into the city of Roswell. That way we control our own destiny, Mr. Chairman, but we got to have a steady fundraising ability to do that. Because as you know, because you sit on finance committee with me, that our GRT revenue is flat as this table. Doesn't go up, goes down, it goes up a little bit, but whenever you average a 4 or 5 year span, it's flat for all practical purposes. So this is a proposal. You can look at it. I think it was Learned counsel and I worked diligently on this to make sure that it stayed for an ambulance. And we're going to bank the rest of this money after we pay the contractors off for the next couple of years, because you can see we're not raising gobs of money here. So we can afford to go out and purchase the needed equipment with a check. Don't want to finance it because that just runs up your costs. We've got a contractor that we're negotiating with. Hopefully they'll hang around 2 years instead of just one. And this is a very, very serious situation we find ourselves in. It goes right back to the health and safety of all of our citizens. Hopefully they don't need this kind of service. But if they need it bad, and they need it right now. So with that, I don't know. There's my money guy.
I'll outline it first if that's all right with you, Council. All right, so the dedication is the only part that we're able to change. Everything else is boilerplate from the Department of Tax and Revenue. In the dedication, this is meant to mimic the water utility statute. The water utility statute provides that any water fund that has debts has to be paid in certain ways. We're going to treat this the same way. It's a way of locking in significant tax revenue for a particular service without having to go out to bonds first to dedicate it in that way. We've checked in on if the spot bond market for this type of thing, we're looking at 5 to 7%. If we were to go with a loan from the state, we're still looking at 2.5%. So if you predict recession with current interest rates, 2.5% is still going to be a lot more than 0% inflation we might be experiencing shortly. So the revenue is made to go into buckets, as I've described them. Each bucket must be filled before you go to the next bucket. So bucket number 1 is any revenue that is raised from this, it's 5/16 of a cent, so 0.3125%, is to provide an ambulance system in good repair and to pay legitimate expenses of operation. That legitimate expenses should be emphasized. It is not my intent as the drafter that it get used by somebody outside of the ambulance service, unlike the 16th of a cent tax for environmental that we saw used in the past few years. B is to pay interest on revenue bonds issued for the purpose of acquiring, repairing, improving, or enlarging the system. So right now, the internal system to Roswell is 1 ambulance. And if we wanted to get another 7 adequate ambulances, we're talking about $1 million. Is that correct?
Yeah, pretty close to $1 million.
Yeah, about $1 million in cash for ambulances that are not what we would choose. It's not the ambulance you necessarily want. It's good enough. We'd prefer it a little better for our residents, especially if they're going to pay a tax for it. But that $1 million could be funded up front at 2.5% to get us there quickly. And then once we work in better ambulances, we're talking about a 3-year process to phase it. We want a 5-year rotation on ambulances, phasing the first new set that are a lot nicer over 3 years because there's that much of a wait list, unfortunately. So we'd have to take out a loan unless we can find $1 million cash up front to immediately do that. But once interest is paid on that, we would then go, and sorry, let me talk about operation for a second. Did you want to comment on what your prediction is for cost of operation?
Yeah, so I've got, I just talked to Councilor Corn. If we finance equipment, we're looking at 4.1, roughly 4.1 to 4.2, depending on what we collect. If we choose to pay outright, year 1 could be up to about 4.6 to 4.7, depending again on how we collect and what that percentage we pay and how much. The more we collect, we pay a little bit more, so the cost is higher, but we're also bringing more revenue on the other side. So just depends, again, it depends on how we want to structure that. What do we?
Right, and the other comment too, so yeah, we're looking at mid 4 million numbers as an operational cost. That would include all the employees, all the overtime, replacing equipment, and we would be collecting insurance money, but those insurance claims come on cycles, right? And it'd be 90 to 180 day cycles for that money to come back if we can collect it at all.
So you do need a sizable cash up front if you're going to get into this game. So operations and good repair of a system. So the money this year would be used to pay recovery of the current system if the general fund doesn't pay it. Next, it would go to interest. Third, it would pay for cost of improving and extending the ambulance service and the redemption of revenue bonds to their prior to their maturity if permitted by ordinance. The idea being it's better not to carry debt if you don't have to when you have, why pay 4% on something if you have the cash? Then finally, if we have all operations covered, all interest is being covered, and improving an extension is not required that year, then the city will use the remainder of the money to create a reasonable reserve fund that is no less than 5 million or 2 times the system's losses for the previous fiscal year. The idea being if something real bad happens, we can just about create a system from scratch. Or if we have another COVID situation and money's not up front, we'll have enough money to run the ambulance system for a full year. And then some. If all of those are, if A through D are met, then and only then can any excess revenue in the system be moved into the general fund for this tax. Conservatively, this will take 4 to 5 years to do. Absolute best case scenario would be 3 years before all of those are meant to generate any general revenue. We're looking at approximately 5 million a year in GRT, according to finances projections.
It says that we should bring in $5 million.
Yeah, each 16th of a cent is worth a little less than $1 million, and this is 5/16.
Mr. Chairman, a couple other little quick things, and then I'll let you go to questions. One is that whenever you pass a tax increase, that's what this is. This is a tax increase.
Yeah.
No question. Not going to argue that with anybody. There's 2 things that have to happen. We have to pass it, and then it's got to be sitting there suspended, for lack of a better phrase, for 90 days.
Oh, yeah, sorry, Council. So if we pass this before September 1st, it would be in effect January 1st, and our first revenue from tax and rev at soonest would be March 15th.
Right.
So we're only going to collect a quarter of this in this fiscal year.
In the 24 fiscal year.
Yeah.
Right, on a cash basis.
Right.
And the other thing, Mr. Chairman, the reason why I think this is time critical is if we don't get it done to get it enacted by January, then it can't be utilized until
September of next year.
Well, July 1, it would go into
July
effect.
1.
July 1 plus the 90-day lag before we get received.
For collections, yeah. So we'd be a year out from now.
Yeah.
Over a year out.
Over a year out. So.
And so in that time frame, we're going to have to fund in a budget that's stretched right now. We're going to have to fund maybe 1.4 million, something to that effect.
1.5, pick a number, we don't know yet.
We don't know what the cost is going to be until the negotiations are finalized.
We've got a placeholder in the budget, if I remember correctly, at 1.5, 1.4. But negotiations are still going on.
Yeah.
We've still got a month and a half to get this done before we have to close the books. And
I get it, and I follow that. And negotiations need to take place with the county as to what their participation is going to be on this down the road.
And I'm happy to discuss that in closed session.
That's a separate issue, but we provide service for them. And again, yes, there are citizens coming here right now. They get that service for minimal fee because we're not supporting it with GRT. We're carrying the brunt of that for 24.
Yes, so I can comment a little. We're still in discussions with the county. This year, they contributed 20% to the $160,000, and there's no indication they're going to deviate from that this year.
20% of the total cost. So that could be 340,000. So that would put us at $1 million.
I tried to get them.
So
So,
as our cost, but we don't know what it's going to be in the future.
and they're receptive, Mr. Chairman. They haven't told us, don't come back to our building, don't knock on our door.
They told me that, but that was a totally different incident.
That was,
Do I understand?
we got to send you to personality school.
But that's, Mr. Chairman, there's lots of ways to figure this out. We
Yeah.
can keep going the way we are, put more stress on our general fund, or we got to fund this, or we can get out of the ambulance business. I don't think that's a viable option.
I don't think that is an option at all.
Mr. Chair,
Ms. Kelsey.
this is why I took a nap. Because at this point, what you're asking me is only to vote on whether to advertise, right?
Public,
So-
small word.
So at this point, I'm good with advertising, but as far as voting for this tax increase, I'm at a hard no because I don't know shit about it. I don't know enough. I don't feel solid, and I've got bits and pieces here and there. I have kind of an idea, but, and I have seen where there were meetings, but as far as ambulance, I didn't know if it was open. But I feel there's a whole lot of details that need to actually be given to us in a possible workshop before I'll even touch this with a 10-foot pole. But I will support advertising for public hearing. Other than that,
Well,
I'm out for now.
We need to get it out there.
I am not in favor of any tax increase. With
I
the way
understand.
things have been,
I don't have
Wait.
picture A to picture B to C. I don't know what you guys have been talking about or where we're even heading. And the first thing I'm hit with is, oh, let's actually do a tax increase and create some type of enterprise fund for
Right.
what?
the ambulance service was talked about, spoken about, presentation was made at finance committee meeting. And it just was an informative of what the cost could be, a projection.
But I have a,
And so you need to be educated.
Yeah, at this point, I'm not making this kind of decision.
I'm not making that decision either right now. That I'm not going to tell you I'm going to support it. I'm not going to tell you I'm against it. I want to see what our facts are here and presentations made, because to put this burden on individuals, when we've got an economy the way it's at, inflation where it's at, the people are stretched right now, and I don't care if you take another, some people, if you take another $10 a month out of their pocket, they don't have the $10 a month to give. They just don't. And so we have to be very careful.
The logic is here. I understand what you're trying to accomplish. I totally,
Right.
yeah.
We have to provide a service.
We have to figure out something, but at the same time, I want to know point A, point B,
Right.
point where we're,
Because one of the
where
things
we're going. I
One
want
of
to
the things
know.
I thought about when I saw this was, I don't like indefinite tax increases. Just don't. Sunset them. And relook at them, and it forces people to look at them at a later date, instead of just letting them sit on the books and ride and ride and ride. I'm not in favor of that. So, Councilor Orpeza?
I think it's important that the public understands the impact is going to be put on them. You know, that 0.3, whatever, in terms of money that they are going to have to pay in gross receipts, what is the end result that it's going to be to charge an individual for purchases?
3 cents on the dollar. I'm sorry, 0.3 cents on the dollar.
Which right now is 7 point.
Yeah, put us to 8% total.
It's going down July 1
Because of the governor.
from the previous year,
Yeah.
not this year's legislature, this previous year's legislature. So it's going to go to 7 point, I'll tell you exactly what it's going to be on a Roswell level. I looked at it, and right now the rate is 7.7083. It's going to go down to 7.583. So it's not going down much, but it's going to go down some.
But this is going to replace it though,
This would replace it.
pretty much in the same level.
It'll keep the same level. They will not see a decrease. it will keep it at the same level. And had the governor signed the bill for current legislation, it would have even been less because they were going to drop it down again. And then she vetoed it. So, but this will keep it at the same.
I think it'll be at 0.05% higher, so.
Yeah, it won't be much. It'd be 7.5833. I'm going to do my math. $7.895 is what it'll go to if this gets enacted. So it will be, it'd be a little bit of an increase, 0.18 of a dollar. So
I think that the public may be able to buy it if it really is not going to have a big impact on them.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I don't know if anybody remembers Councilor Peterson. He brought it up a couple of years ago to have the ambulance in-house. And of course, he never had a plan or anything. But he talked about the concept of bringing in the ambulance in-house. And of course, he left before anything was even discussed.
Well, that's what this does. It brings it in-house, helps us defer some immediate expenses while we're getting there. Gets us on a cycle. We're going to manage our own destiny somewhat. And Mr. Chairman, your comment about putting a sunset on it. I don't normally mind that, but this is an ongoing expense, and guess what? It ain't going to go down. As the years go by, the cost of running an ambulance service is going to go up. Personnel is going to go up. The medical supply is going to go up. The replacement of gurneys, heart defibrillators, all that stuff, a lot of that stuff, these heart machines are not cheap, and they cycle them out because they changed the technology. And they no longer support that XYZ, now it's ABC monitor. And we got to make a decision. It's a tough decision. I don't take this lightly by any stretch of the imagination, but we got a problem. And this is a solution that I thought about and didn't sleep a couple of nights thinking about this thing because it's a real issue that goes directly at our citizens' health and safety. I hope I don't ever have to call one up. I don't want to see one from the inside unless I'm standing there looking in the back door. I don't want to be the one on the gurney. And, but if I need them.
You need them.
I need them. I need them right now. And that decision, I mean, my wife, before she passed away, we got to use the service twice. I didn't like making that phone call, but I had no choice.
And it showed up.
And it showed up on time.
Yeah.
And those guys were very professional.
Yeah.
They took care of her the best they could until they got her to the hospital. And one resulted in surgery in the next day or two. And the other one she didn't ever really fully recover from. But that's where my heart is on this thing. We tried.
Yeah. I hear you, Councilor Thorne.
One question, if I may.
Councilor Arnold.
So was there any consideration for leasing? As I understand, Lovington and I believe it's Carlsbad or Artesia actually lease their vehicles because then they actually have new fleet consistency instead of.
Yeah. I think that's a topic of discussion that needs to be a presentation to show us what these costs are. What does it cost to purchase? What does it cost to lease them? All of these costs before I would even consider making a vote on a tax increase or to create a tax increase, that we see all of those costs. That's best of the ability of the city staff to put those together. And the fire department has spent a tremendous amount of time reviewing this And so I think you'll find when that presentation is made, it will be a very thorough presentation and it will allow you the opportunity to ask you questions at that point in time.
That'll be very eye-opening too.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, those are the kind of questions I mean, because I don't know what has been decided, but like I said, I do support this, but if I'm going to make a decision, it has to be seriously informed. I did have one other, but I keep losing this one thing. So if I do blurt it out of turn, please excuse me. I have to hold on to it, Watson. I feel.
Question would be, would we be having a workshop prior to having the hearing? Because our hearing system doesn't really allow us to get the information, digest it, and think about it. But we're asked to vote right there and then.
I think it's very appropriate.
well, I have a question on that as well, because again, one, we don't know what the costs are. So we're going to have this hearing. And well, next council meeting, correct my time frame. So we would have this presented before the council meeting to advertise for hearing.
Mhm.
And then we've got 30 days, 60 days.
So, yeah, I would recommend having a special session or a workshop, and the mayor would have to call it, so, or 5 councilors, right? Have it the week after the 8th. So it would be the week of the 8th is the council meeting. So do it the next week. And then, so there'd be a full presentation in 3 weeks from now. So that gives fire department 3 weeks to put it together. And then you guys would have 3 weeks to digest before there's a vote. And then as far as, and from legal's position, I just want to make sure that you guys have an up or down vote before September 1.
Right.
So this would put us in line to have a July vote. And if you want to have an August vote, if you want to defer an extra 30 days, that's just fine to really digest the information. But as far as if the city wants to try to recoup through tax dollars, the $1.4 million hike that we're experiencing, it has to be done before by the August council.
You got it?
Yeah, I was holding on to it. I call it COVID brain. Anyway, because I lose stuff. But anyway, okay, so ordering vehicles right now, because we actually, in order for us to get these ambulances, we need to be ordering them now, because how long is it taking for us to get our ambulances?
Well, we're saying a year or 2 years from now before we would put this program into it.
Those were all the questions that have been floating on in my head about this, and I haven't really had.
So it would take, if we go down this, we're going to still stay with some kind of contractor. So right now, it looks like it's AMR. We would stay with them for a year. Or is it 2 years that they want to do it?
2 years. The contract is 4 years total, but renewable at every year to not violate the Abatement Act.
Renewable every year?
Renewed every year so as to not violate the Abatement Act.
Yeah. So we would have time to put that into play, to get vehicles, equipment, fire department, get the whole thing structured the way it needs to be structured. I believe you got plenty of time to do that.
And when you're talking about an ambulance, you've got a 2-step process. You can buy the box and the truck, and then you got to go find all the stuff to put on the shelves in it, which it's a 2-step process. And I don't know how they're doing with their medical side of the stuff that goes in. I don't know what the delay is on that, but getting an ambulance, just the truck with the box on it, is maybe a year and a half, 2 years out. But we don't know. We haven't placed the order yet. So.
This depends.
I was actually kind of throwing that, so if you could add it to your little, I'm going to lose it by then.
Wonderful presentation. I'll give you a wonderful presentation.
Very good.
We'll clear up any uncertainties that may be present at all. It'll be.
I don't view an open meetings act issue. Councilors want to schedule a meeting with fire, I will walk you through every single event. Because it's way better just walking. But that's it. We do the whole presentation in front of town.
Great. Any further questions?
No. I yield.
Okay. What's your poison?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we move ordinance 23-XXX to consider recommending to authorize the advertisement for a public hearing adopting municipal gross receipts tax, and it's not in the title here, but it is for for ambulance use, period.
Second.
So did you get that change? And this is,
Like I said, everything in that ordinance is prescribed by the state except for section 4.
so you're okay with it without?
Or we can, that can be the motion, but I'm just saying, like, we could, what I'm saying, if it passes, what I'm sending to them would not include that particular line.
No, you can't, I mean, that's the problem with this. You can't really do exactly what you'd like it to do, but if you look in the body, it's very clear what you're doing.
Okay, so I have a motion and a second that to authorize to advertise for a public hearing for ordinance 23XX adopting a municipal gross receipts tax for ambulance services. Is that what your motion is?
Yes.
And the second is, and we send that to full council.
Right. Section 4 is the only place where we've got any opportunity.
Okay. All those, any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Being none, so moved. Next item on the agenda, sorry, I should have gotten the department reports early. I usually try to do that so that you can get in and get out, go on about your business. So Roswell Air Center, rules and regulations.
Counselors, as part of our TSA agreement, we have to create an airport security plan or a new one. Part of that plan includes having rules and regulations. They call them rules and regulations. I'd call them new ordinance that specifies the rules that it must be followed by law. This was the preliminary draft that was made in consultation with our outside contractor who's been helping us get through this TSA Leviathan, if you will. It'll be going to, I wanted you guys to have it a month ahead of time. It's going to the Airport Commission on Tuesday. They'll have comments on it. I will then do a very thorough legal scrub to make sure there's a couple things in here that aren't included yet. To give you a heads up, predominantly is we're going to be creating a civil administrative system with your consent to allow the airport director to issue remedies on the airport. Generally speaking, the person in this room who knows the most about the airport, pardon me, counselor, is going to be the director.
Well, I hope so. Pay a hell of a lot more than I am.
And it seems to me prudent that any internal civil discipline process, safety violations, the buck needs to stop with her. In order to do that, we are going to have to create a little bit of an apparatus. This is not it's an administrative hearing officer. So what we're looking at, the violations you'll see are pretty milquetoast. So don't speed. Try not to smoke with jet fuel in your pocket. Please don't be a terrorist. Things of this nature. But if somebody decides to be dumb like that, then there will be the security officer can issue I wouldn't call it discipline, but can issue a civil remediation. This can include a fine, but usually the real stick here is badge privileges. If your badge is removed, you don't get to work on the airport and your courthouse. So because while the badge isn't a property right, it still is an administrative process. So there has to be some form of due process. So we would be opting in to have the person aggrieved would be able to appeal, give to a hearing officer at their own expense, or present straight to the director. The director will then make her final ruling. And if they want to appeal from there, the district court's available to them.
That's the remedy as a district court.
Yeah. Yeah, but we are going to, hearing officers is something that Roswell has not done for a long time, even though it is written to some of our code. I think generally speaking, it takes a big headache out of everybody's life. You can contract with somebody with real knowledge of airports in this circumstance to say, we don't want somebody off the street. And also Jennifer is far too busy, frankly, to deal with the mundane appeals of, well, no, I didn't enter this area with the wrong badge. That can go to a hearing officer. If they prevail, we'll pay the reimbursement for the hearing officer. And if they lose, they pay. So that's the only big addition that I foresee going in here. Otherwise, I just wanted to, I don't know if you had anything to add. I just wanted you guys to have a full month with it before you actually have to vote. So
I flagged, but.
Yeah, there's some errata. But
now this is all TSA approved or looked at. Are they satisfied that we're stepping in the right
Yes.
motion? Direction, motion.
Yeah, TSA is happy with how this looks. Like if there's some things you think we could have missed something, it's a 40-page document. So if you guys just be like, hey, shouldn't you not be able to do this type of thing in an airport? Please let us know. We want to get it.
You can't walk your giraffe at the airport.
Well, but you can ride it under 10 miles an hour.
Properly marked taxiways.
That's right. And we do have to get your giraffe badge. There's a short video presentation for it. But that's what I had to, like I said, it's a big document. One, you guys have an extra month with a paper version.
I appreciate that you've given us to us ahead of time, that we're getting our TSA issues put behind us. And again, you can go about your business out the airport, managing the airport, and I have to mess. So interference, shall I say, that you have to deal with trying to get this result. And thank you, Council, for what you've done on this process. So, thank you. Okay. Anything else? Any questions?
No.
We need to hear from the city clerk.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, we are working on IFRS.
Do I have any questions? Of our clerk, I'm appreciative that she keeps everybody on the straight and narrow one.
Good report.
Thank you. Next would be human resources.
Mr. Members of the legal committee, so as of today, we do have 19 vacant CDL positions. We have updated job descriptions to reflect that we will be starting a minimum pay hourly rate at $18. So that's going to start showing on there. So hopefully we start getting some more applicants. So we are actively working on that. We are actively working with Lorenzo and Robert on the first training online for CDL drivers. And then we're going to go into the next step as soon as we see that that's successful. Any questions?
Any questions?
That's awesome.
How's the RPD doing on filling their vacancies?
They are doing excellent. I want to say they're down to 7, the last that I checked with the girls up top.
Yeah.
So they're doing really good at getting those numbers filled.
Good.
Chairman, just as a side note about the PD, since they graduated their officers today, the police academy, so there was, I mean, it was up to 5.
I think it was 5.
5 will be coming back, doing their final of their field training and they're on the streets.
That's awesome. Great. Thank you. So we fulfilled almost all those open positions.
We've had other openings.
Yeah, I saw that you lost, I think, 2 report. So.
They're actively working on it. So we just received that I counted today with 5 selection forms. So we are working on that background right now.
And just, so Chair, if I could add one other thing, we met with the fire department and several of the departments in our department head meeting this week. Going to try a new concept of trying to get in higher. We're going to do on the spot tryouts. So you don't have to fill out an application. The fire department will be the first one to try that. We're going to try it with some of our other departments, the sanitation department, that we'll just select a date, blast it out, advertise it, they come take the physical fitness test. If they pass that, we'll take them right in the room, then fill out the application.
Good.
So that we're not filling out the application, waiting 30 days, trying to contact people. There's a delay in there. So we want to trying to reverse some of these things. We're going to do the same thing at the landfill. Schedule a day, you can show up between 8 and 5 that day, interview them on the spot. If somebody they're interested, take them straight into a room, fill out the application and start the process.
I didn't know if you're not on the spot and I was like, well, let's go. Come
Yeah,
on. You
right
see what
there.
I got? No, I meant right here. Let's go.
We still got to do background check.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but they're making sure
Ready.
you pass the physical side of it. I think it's a great idea. That's a great idea. How many are short are you right
We said I'll just pause.
No, I believe it's.
I got this.
now? 8? That's not too bad, is it?
It's not terrible. The scary part potentially is there to be down close to 20.
You're faced with a bunch of retirements coming.
We got a couple, few. Biggest concern is the Eddie County deal.
Yeah. Can't compete to that.
However, we did get a call yesterday, in fact. There is a small, I believe it's the community college in Lubbock. I don't remember the name of it, that has a fire associate's degree program.
Yeah.
They just graduated in the academy, excuse me, and there's at least 2 already that are interested in coming over here.
That's great.
Trying out.
That's great.
So we've been in contact with the state fire marshal's office to make sure the state of Texas firefighter certifications are going to be reciprocated with the state of New Mexico.
Good.
And if that works out, which it looks like it will,
If that works out, that'll give you a source from in the future.
that'll open up 2 colleges right over in Texas that we can actually go and recruit from.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
So if I may, what is Eddie? So when you bring up Eddie, I've heard it several times, but no one's telling me if they have something that we don't have like, except money. What is it? Yeah.
It is. The other thing is that the county departments in Eddie County are just like Travis County. Just like our surrounding volunteer fire departments. Eddie County, gosh, they had 20 something.
21 or 22.
But what they've done is they've consolidated all of those and they're turning the whole thing into one paid countywide department. So that
Oh, okay. So that's.
they're building that from the ground up.
Okay. So because it was talked about like an incident or something. So
Oh, right.
I didn't understand.
No, it's just, they've revamped the way they've
Okay.
always done their county service.
They're mass hiring currently. We're doing, I mean, our recruit will start at 40, certified recruit for Roswell Fire starts at 42,000, 43,000. Starting recruit in Eddie County starts at 60.
Yeah.
And fire recruits are in short supply all over the country.
Yeah.
So
it's very,
Eddie County can afford to buy some.
They got the revenue.
they've got the revenue. They've got a lot of it.
That's unfortunate thing we can't compete with.
We cannot compete with it.
Sad.
There's oil and gas right there, and the thing about it is when the oil and gas markets drop out, a lot of that comes right back to us very quickly.
There will be someday a reckoning, and there always has been.
And if anybody ever asks you, I challenge them to do the research, because I think we do compete. Benefit wise, hourly rate might not be as pretty on paper, but in other places, we definitely compete.
And what's it cost you to drive down there?
They, just to be frankly honest, I tried to research just to figure out where we sit. They pay more into their para. So the employee, what do we pay the fire department? 14, 15%. The employee down there only pays 7%.
Oh, it's a big number.
They pay 100% of the,
No.
where I pay $400 a month for the top end of my insurance. The employee down there is paying about 275 or 3, the top. They have money. They have money and it's reflecting on all aspects of their process.
I kind of want to say this because I find it kind of disenfranchising about this when we actually say we can't compete. It actually bothers me. I think we're looking at it that when you say that, that's what happens. I mean, that comes into fruition. I get that they have oil money, but I think that the right focus, I just don't like it when we say we can't compete because I don't agree. I don't think we're there yet. But I'm just saying if we start working smarter, not harder, we can come up with some solid ways to be effective. But anyway, I'm just sorry. I don't like negativity.
I think it's all in how you look at it.
That's what I'm saying.
Me, we can compete with anybody. We're the second oldest fire department in the state. We have more history and tradition than all of them. I mean, there should be, in my opinion, a lot to say for that. And the call volume that we have. If you want to be a fireman, come be a fireman in Roswell because we run calls and we run fires a lot.
Yep.
Mr. Chairperson, City Councilor, How many of those 19 are sanitation CDLs? And at the end of this month, how many will there be?
Right now, I just have 12. I don't know how many are pending right now, but I have 12 that are active CDL for sanitation.
It'll be 13 at the end of this month. And that's a lot. That's a lot, 13 CDL trash drivers, yeah, and they're working Saturdays and they're working holidays.
Right. But hopefully with our wage increase, that helps.
35 cents an hour and 14 cents an hour for the people that go up to $15 and for the CDLs that are 17, 50.
They go to
that
18.
up 50 cents to 18. And no step, no COLA, no grade.
I wish I had a money tree.
I'm glad I live in the county.
You got a money tree out there?
Yes.
Could you move it into the city?
No.
We could use one.
An hour at CDL.
Could you clone one for us?
No.
Okay.
Just give us a shoot.
We'll plan it.
We'll plan it and see what happens.
Thank you. Safety.
Yes, sir. We're averaging about one incident per day. So we have 30 from last month. We are working hard to try to decrease that. We are scheduling trainings for different departments, as well as looking at the individual departments to see what the exact training, specialty training they also need. Try to bring that in, add more for the city, as well as give more value to the employee as far as training. We're still working with insurances. Currently, one of the big pushes that we have is the hail damage from 2021, and we're also working on the wind damage from this year.
Yeah.
And so we're working to try to get those.
Continuous.
Yes.
Well, it just looked like, these are big increases from 2021 to 22 to 23. We got, the incidents are up substantial.
Well, because she's using a different matrix. Make sure you say that to us.
That's right. I forgot that. Thank you, Councilor. Okay. Thank you for
Using
your.
a truer picture, in my opinion.
Yes.
Instead of
Yeah.
another, whatever that was.
Is that it? Is that it?
Any other reports? Now, public participation. Can they hear us? Anyone else from the public wish to participate? Can't hear. They're all red dot on the screen and not green dots.
Nobody's typing.
And no one's typing at all. Meeting adjourned.
Yeah.